Hello everyone, we are back working on our more structured chair design, and what I'm looking at right now is we're going to add this sort of cross piece, and that's going to kind of come in. And what I'm thinking about doing is actually maybe not having it be 1/4 of an inch or the thinner section, but actually maybe making it the thicker pieces and really making this a strong connection. So I'm going to redraw that line. I'm going to turn my solids off, work in my width pieces, turn my solids off, come back, add a line, and I'm going to have one, come on now, midpoint is fine. Again, come up, bring this down, and then I'm going to offset it. I'm going to offset it that distance of 0.56 in this direction here, and do that. And then what I'm going to do next is probably start cutting it down into what I'm thinking might be, and this might be a couple of different operations. So let's just cut this off right here. I'm going to move this. Come on now. Select and move intersection from this intersection down to about here. And then I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to split it right about here because, nothing's going to really go in this area. The only open spot is right here, so maybe you could still fit a magazine in or something like that. I'm going to bring this across there, and I'm going to curve Boolean. And just grab that rectangle right there, delete this, and then I'm going to copy that from this midpoint or this end, wherever, one of these reference points, right straight down under this one. All right, and what I'm thinking is this is going to be a slot. So up here I can easily slot this in at the top and then cover it with this top piece here. And then this piece I'll slot in somehow. Maybe what I'll do is have it slot in from the top and or through a little hole here, and then cover it with this as this gets slotted in from this side. Okay, so I'm going to go into perspective mode, and I'm going to work in my solids layer so that I can then extrude these pieces. And I'm going to come up to solid, extrude planar curve straight. And again, remember we're doing 18 inches. And then I'm going to move those over, and I'm going to say move. I'm going to bump those over from this corner 0.5, and there we go, so that they can stick out a little bit. And now what I can do is I can then start thinking about my slots. And I want these to really kind of butt up and interact with each other. Now, in the past, we were just using surfaces. In this situation, we're going to use solids right now. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make a couple sub layers and just divide these up. I know it's kind of like busy work, but it's always good to do. I'm going to do seats, and I'm going to do the back, and I'm going to do the foot 1, foot 2, and then I'm going to make the cross supports, and then make the shelf. All right, so I'm going to move this guy into my seats. Move objects to this thing. I'm going to hide it for right now. I'm going to move this object to the back. Move objects to this layer and hide that. And same with these. Let's call that one foot 1. call this 1'2", just so I can really have a better view of what it is I need to work on its left. And I'm going to turn off my profile shapes for right now. Oh, sorry, my widths and my profile shapes. So now what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to extract some lines and curves and things here, here, and here. And I'm just going to work on this piece right now. This is kind of just to show me what the system is. So in fact, you know what? I'm just going to delete it. And I'm going to find the intersection curves of all of these pieces. And there might be more than I need. You know what? I'll do the intersection one at a time, not all three, in case I get a bunch of rando lines and things. So I've got that. Do the same here, and then do the same here. All right, cool. So when I zoom in and look at this curve here, I've got all of that great information. I'm actually just going to explode it. I'm going to get rid of that curve, and I'm going to hide this guy for right now so that I can kind of just get a better visual of what's happening right there. Delete that curve. And this backside curve I don't really need. I just want this one right here. These are great. And all I need to do is really find the midpoint and add a line. Midpoint here and midpoint here, and hit enter. And then what I can do is add a arc, pretty straightforward arc, nothing super major. I can just do, let's see here, endpoint. Really all I want to do, I can just also do a circle. I can do diameter, diameter, boom, boom. Ah, I have to work in my front view, curses. And I just want to make sure that I'm snapping to that curve there. Because what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to do a pretty straightforward curve, Boolean, to extrapolate some of that info. That's going to be one spot. Is it going to be one spot? No, I don't think it needs to be that way. I'm just going to do that one for now. I can always check myself. I can always do it again later. And then curve, curve. Another Boolean, this guy, enter, and I'm going to go back to my perspective view. So I know this one is going to need to get cut away. So I'm going to just make that solid, and I can do extrude planar curve straight, and it doesn't really matter. I can even move it over a little bit, and then I can come over here and I can do a solid Boolean. I can do a difference with this object, a Boolean difference, and I can delete that input. I don't need this block anymore. And so we've got our first groove, right? And now I'm going to show my block here, and what I'm going to need to do is extrude this curve, this one section, which is the other half. Now this needs to be extruded the thickness of this material to 0.56. And I'm going to step back a little bit here. Now you see this groove. Remember we talked about the curves, like these have little curves, and that's so that we can make sure it has a proper fit and cuts properly. We're going to need to do the same thing. I'm going to roll back, and I was right in the sense that even undo the Booleans, curve Booleans that is. And so I've got my individual things here. I'm going to move this, and we do need a curve. I need to turn my midpoint back on. Going into the top and the connector piece and this profile piece. So this is going to become, this initial slot that we did, we're going to have a little curve at the bottom of it. just so we can get a nice clean fit. So let's go back and redo those curved booleans really quickly. And let's do it nice and properly. So that's going to be one of our booleans. And now the other one, I'm actually going to take this information. Actually, let's just, oops. Sorry, let's slow down a second. I've got my one curved boolean. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a solid, extrude planar curve, straight. Again, just enough that I can cut that slot out, and then I can select my profile solid, and I can do surface, solid, Boolean difference, a new object there, and now we've got that curve at the bottom end right there, which is perfect. So now I'm ready to cut the slot out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the curve boolean to get these shapes, or this next shape. And I'm only going to select that interior curve. Come on, computer. Be my friend, computer. Okay, well, it seems that my computer has frozen, so I'm going to try to bring it back to this point, and we will finish our video. Okay, so we solved that issue. We are back. My Rhino did crash, but we are at the point where we just curve booleans is to get this shape for cutting. And what I need to do is I actually need to rotate it because when I'm looking at my show, take a look at our connector piece here to give us some extra support. And you see this is the shape we need to cut out, but we need to cut it out in the same direction as this plane, right? Or perpendicular to this surface of this support piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate it, and because my coordinate plane is on the bottom, I can just easily center. I'm trying to, but my snaps are disabled for some reason. Let's undisable those. And okay, computer, you are being very difficult with me today, and I'm going to select this as my center, my end, and then rotate it just 90 degrees. And there we go. And I'm going to hide this piece for right now so I can extrude this object. And I'm going to come up to solid, extrude planar curve, straight, just enough so that we can cut it out of here. And actually what I can do is now that I have this, I need to cut it the same out of the other side. So I'm going to mirror that. So I'm going to type in mirror and make sure my midpoint snap is on. Select this midpoint. There we go. And then I can do a solid difference with these two little pieces on the end as my cutting object. So there we go. And that looks beautiful. And I'm going to come up to Edit, Visibility, Show. And now when I look at this piece, I've got this. I'm going to move it up just so we can really get a good visual. And I'm going to say like, I don't know, 3 inches up this direction. So you can see how it will slot together super nicely. Okay? I'm going to do that for right now. I'm just going to leave it where it is. And I'm going to go through a similar process down here with these two. All right. With this one, what I might have to do is I might need to extend my cutting curve. I think I've got this guy here. Yeah, so what I can do is after I split it, or I will extend that a little bit. And this is going to be very similar. This block is going to be very similar to this one in the sense that I'm going to put a slot in it. But the slot I'm going to put in is actually going to be the same width as this, just a little higher up, so that I can insert it into the side first and then slot it down, right? So I'll go over that after I make those holes and all those cuts and things. But again, it's kind of similar to this method right here, and I will see you in the next video.